How you doing, you guys? Thank you, so criminal. Roses on both my knees for you. Don't say thank you or please. I do what I want. Well, I put on some music so that we could start our class just like we do when we were in the splitting rooms, remember? I always like to put on some music because then we guys can relax. Oh, it still hurts from that falling. I like to put on some music so that you guys can relax and get into the mood, right? But today what we're going to talk about is historical fiction or history fiction. What can you expect from it? Here we go. People, history fiction is a kind of genre where fiction meets reality. What does that mean? That means that probably the story you're reading could have happened for real. And probably it happens in, sometime in the past. It's not something present. And the setting, which is the time and the place, is about some time in the past. And only by looking at it, you can tell, right? So here you see this guy that you see on the slides is Abraham Lincoln. Do you remember Abraham Lincoln? He was the president of the United States and a big figure. He's a very strong historical fiction. And there is this book that became a movie called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. When I first heard of it, I thought it was ridiculous. But when I saw the movie, I really enjoyed it. Let me show you the slides. Oh no, I'm sorry, the video, the trailer. So here we go.
And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. And I looked, and behold, was death. Saying, come and see. And I saw, and hell followed me.
All right. Why is this historical fiction interesting? For example, I watched the movie, and there is a part in the movie where Abraham Lincoln's son, only son, dies. He's a 5-year-old boy, and the vampires kill him to affect him. They even start the American Civil War to affect Abraham Lincoln. I thought that was stupid, but that was so interesting. When I checked online, it comes out that Abraham Lincoln really did have a boy son, that's obvious, his son, and his son died as a child, and nobody could explain what killed him, right? His death is a mystery. So see, the author was so intelligent that he got this idea and then he made this movie. And every historical fact in the movie really happened. Only that under the author's perspective, this happened because of the vampires. Recently, there was this book by Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. If you don't, you should know. It's a very famous movie. And they go, Pride and Prejudice against the zombies or whatever. So they get this story from England, 19th century, and they put zombies in it. It's very interesting. I like this genre a whole lot. Okay, see this movie here, 1917, is about, I'm sorry, I'm gonna close this, World War I. Okay, and the story is not true, but it could be true. This is the thing, the story is not a science fiction, the story is very realistic. Okay, so we know that a history fiction has a setting, which is the time and the place in the past, based on a true historical event. Remember, when you look at it, when you read the story, when you see the cover, when you see the name of the story, you know the historical event they're talking about, or you learn about it. This kind of genre can be informative, but really, 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 what they really want to do, and mind my words, is to entertain. The reason they exist is to make you feel fun, to make you feel happy when you read it. They're not there to teach you, so they don't have to be absolutely correct. Okay? They can be inspired on true events, so they can change a little thing, they can change a little detail so that the story can get more interesting. For example, Mulan. That was no Mushu. That was no little dragon or Creekly or whatever. Grilly. I don't know the name in English. Those animals did not exist, but the story was very real. Well, it became a legend. I can't really tell you if it really happened. Some records say that there was a Mulan lady who fought and helped the Uns get away from China. The Huns, I guess. I said Uns, but I think it's Huns. Unus. Anyways. So history fictions also have some characters that are fictional. Remember Mushu and Crickley? Or like in 1917, the story is very realistic, very possible to have happened. I'm pretty sure the director talked to real soldiers to make that story. But I can tell you for sure there was a boy that went with his friends, saved his brother in another squad, and had to cross the German territory in order to do that. That's the plot of the story. It could have happened. It could have happened though. Okay, it's not so crazy. So some famous examples of historical fiction: Titanic, Jojo Rabbit. I know you're familiar with this one because you're always talking about it. 1917, the movie I told you. Time is the enemy. Right now, time is not our enemy, but a virus is. It's kind of invisible too. 1922, this movie is on Netflix. It's a hell of a good movie. It's based on, oh man, that guy who wrote It and Cujo. Oh God, he's the father of horror. Oh man, I forgot. Stephen King. Stephen King wrote this story. It's very good. You have The Boy in Striped Pajamas. I know lots of kids mentioned this movie. Okay. The Tattooist of Auschwitz, again, another movie talking about World War II. Kingdom, wow, this show is on Netflix. You gotta watch it. It's so good. It's Korean. It talks about the Joseon period. And they have the zombies attacking them. It's super nice. You know, I like the zombies theme. So what does history fiction look like? Like, okay, I told you it's about a history in the past that could have happened, yada yada, but what does it really look like? This is a chapter of the, I think it's chapter one, well, it is chapter one. I think it's the first chapter of the book, The Boy in Striped Pajamas. I'm gonna read it with you, okay? Just a second. Bruno makes a discovery. One afternoon, when Bruno came home from school, he was surprised to find Maria, the family's maid, who always kept her head bowed and never looked up from the carpet, standing in his bedroom, pulling all his belongings out of the wardrobe and packing them in 4 large wooden crates, even the things he'd hidden at the back that belonged to him and were nobody else's business. I'm sorry. Look who's here. She wants to be in the class. Come here, lady. Stay there. What are you doing? He asked in as polite as a tone. as he could muster, for although he wasn't happy to come home and find someone going through his possessions, his mother had always told him that he was to treat Maria respectfully and not just imitate the way father spoke to her. You take your hands off my things. Maria shook her head and pointed towards the staircase behind him, where Bruno's mother had just appeared. She was a tall woman with long red hair that she bundled into a sort of net behind her head, and she was twisting her hands together nervously as if there was something she didn't want to have to say or something she didn't want to have to believe. Mother, said Bruno, marching towards her. What's going on? Why is Maria going through my things? She's packing them, explained Mother. Packing them? He asked, running quickly through the events of the previous few days to consider whether he'd been particularly naughty or had used those words out loud that he wasn't allowed to use and was being sent away because of it. He couldn't think of anything though. In fact, over the last few days, he had behaved in a perfectly decent manner to everyone and couldn't remember causing chaos at all, any chaos at all. Why? He asked them. What have I done? Dear students, which is, well, now that you know it's the boy in striped pajamas, that is the very first page, the short text that I took from the book. But what are the historical elements you see there? You have many. I'm going to show you. Okay. Okay, at first we see a little boy talking to Maria, who is the maid in the house. Remember that if you get this book for the first time, you have seen the cover, so you know it talks, that the theme is based on Nazi Germany. Then you see the mother's description. She was a tall woman with long red hair that she bundled into a sort of net behind her head. What is this kind of hairdo? This is typically 40s. Here it is, look. If you type 40s hairdo net, see? I know you're familiar with this because you've seen it in gazillion movies. Lots of movies show this hairnet. Ladies had long hair and they made they bundled their hair in little buns, and then they were, ballerinas do that. They wear a net to keep it tight. Okay. Here we go. See? Can you see in the images? For example, like this. This is from a magazine in the time. How interesting. See? Like this here. Could be short or like longer. Okay? Very well. So his mother wore one of these nets. And when you're a reader, you know right there that she's not somebody from the present time because we don't wear our hair anymore like this. And then I pretty much I think this is it because they don't give us any more, you know, clues. So the first question you got to make yourself is, which is the historical event that serves as setting for this story? Can you imagine the place and time? When I tell you that the name of the book is The Boy in Striped Pajamas, can you tell it? I hope you can. You should be able to. Keep in mind, sometimes the author is not really clear about it, but you can have a notion because of tips the author gives you, all right? Like the one I just told you, the lady with a net as a hairdo. That's not modern, that's old. My grandmother wore those. Okay? And so we've came to the end of our class. This is it. I hope you liked it. We are going to do our activities now. They are on Ava. There is an activity with an excerpt from a book, from a history fiction. Pretty much this one, the one about Bruno, the boy in striped pajamas. And you're going to answer some comprehension questions about it, okay? Actually, no. I'm sorry, it's not The Boy in Striped Pajamas. It's a different book. You're gonna see there is about ancient Egypt. Okay, and this is it, guys. It was nice seeing you. Thank you. Um, this is little Mina saying hi. She's really excited to be here in our classes, and she speaks English. Okay, no, that's too dumb. Bye, guys. Have a good day. Enjoy your time. Don't go out, okay? Stay safe. Thank you.